Forgive my daughter, Holiday said, walking over the wolfkin bigwig, still held in a firm grasp. Callie, put your curiosity down a few degrees and end the silent spell you placed on this ragamuffin. All right, Callie said, placing her pen in the binding of her journal. My apologies. I tend to one track my focus when presented an ideal unknown. As for the jerk in the wolf's clothing, she tapped her wand to the forehead of the werewolf, you may now speak. The werewolf howled loudly many times before leaning forward in exhaustion. Where are they? They have to answer. They're alpha. I should pop you across your muzzle, Bigwig said from behind the werewolf. There's no credibility to that whole alpha nonsense. Druids, Rangers, even Atlas's own resident wolf druid have put all that into a kibosh pit. We run by a different set of rules, the werewolf said, still looking around, but no other howls or bodyguards seemed to be coming to his rescue. That creepy cottontail, I swear, I'll have her ears for breakfast. So, Holiday said, tapping his ruined bat on the ground. He had turned his dusty old baseball cap around and was chewing on bubble gum as he pointed the glowing weapon at the werewolf. Where is Saru? I'm not telling you anything, but she's going to pay for betraying my pack. Both Bo and Peep darted forward quickly, then stopped inches from the werewolf's face, causing him to lurch back into Bigwig. The watch captain held on to his prisoner, but had seen his goddaughter motion for the weeps to perform the wild tactic. Keep them back, the werewolf was squirming. They look hungry, or maybe angry. Either way, I want nothing to do with them. Bo and Peep both growled at the werewolf, but parted as Peppermint floated over to the prisoner. Your kind murdered me and my flock, she said, as purple flames bellowed from the open eye sockets on the kitsune mask. I have been tasked with bringing the offenders to justice. If you do not tell us what we want to know, I will happily let... I don't want to be dinner, the werewolf stammered. I don't know where Saru is. She gave our pack's instructions, then departed. We were given payment in advance. My pack was to kill the witch and her father. Currency is illegal throughout Morn, Bigwig chided. How were you paid? How many packs? How did she want the Salem's Why did she want the Salem's dead? I'd rather not say how we were paid, the werewolf said, bowing his head in obvious guilt. Great, Holiday said, stalking away from the werewolf. She fed them. No wonder they're out there being feral. Weak-minded werewolves are prone to bloodlust, just like redcaps. It means there are a few missing people we will only find in their stomachs. Farn, Bigwig growled. What about my other questions? 4 packs, the werewolf said, sobbing. The meat was so tasty. People have been unkind to the cured packs. If another wolfkin have turned up their noses to us, what were we supposed to do? What about Druid's outreach programs? Holiday rounded on the werewolf, but Bigwig held it fast. He felt the wolfkin trying to get away, but the more he listened, the more he disliked what he was hearing. Did it ever enter your head what would happen if you ever got caught? Most druids are too busy trying to recreate the miracle of the lost High Ones, the werewolf snarled, lurching forward. And outreach programs are all about pamphlets and generic solutions. Werewolves helped save Atlas, and what thanks have we gotten? The werewolf slumped in Bigwig's grip, but held firm, knowing the creature would bolt if given the chance. Deep wrenching sobs began to pour out of the wolf's throat. Holiday placed his bat on the back next to the other. I'm sorry, he said, before placing a relocation beacon onto the werewolf's shoulder. I'm not sending you to a prison planet. We're going to try and help you and the others. How about giving us a chance? Where can we find the other werewolves? Looking up at Holiday, the wolfkin tried to snarl, but sighed. The black rabbit marked out a clearing on the other side of Atlas, he said. If any of us hit trouble, we were sure she'd there. Knowing Saru, it's a trap to get rid of her help, Bigwig said, tapping the beacon on the werewolf's shoulder. Do yourself a favor when you get to the ward. Take a long, hot bath. Eat some cheese. And listen to what the therapists say. It's not going to be overnight. Be patient and get well. Bigwig released the werewolf, and he turned his head as the beacon whisked him off to an Atlas recovery ward. There was a look that gave the captain a bit of hope, as the werewolf truly seemed guilty over what it had done. Uncle, Peppermint said as she stroked the chin of Peep, I think we should head along the fringe trail to the clearing rather than go through Atlas. Mint, that will take ages, Bigwig tried to argue. Once back in Atlas, we can easily get to the other side before nightfall and with adequate transportation. I just have a feeling that there is something at stake with not just the weeps, Mint said, starting to move along the cliffside portion of the trail. I used to get these hunches when I was alive. You know, they are pretty accurate. Besides, I am still a shepherd with 2 in my flock. Maybe we can find the 3rd along the way. Shaking his head with a smile, Bigwig tapped the route into his comp to let the rest of the watch know where they were heading and by what route. What about the 2 of you? He asked of the humans. The witch known as Excalibur Salem was just as peculiar as had been described in watch reports. She had long brown hair and wore off-white leather and a matching trench coat. She tucked the journal she carried into the holding pouch and began walking behind Mint and the Weeps. And with that, I will see you guys in the near future, and thank you for listening.